This is episode 97 of the Edtech Takeout from Grantwood AEA. My name is Jonathan Wiley, and this is Mindy Carney.
Hello. Episode 97.
What are you getting at there?
I don't know. We're getting close. I guess we talk about this every time, too, don't we?
We probably shouldn't talk about it every time, no.
I feel like we're going to get to episode 100, and people are going to be like, oh, what did they do for episode 100? We're like, well, hi.
Just the usual stuff.
Just the usual episode.
A wet, rainy day today.
Yeah.
So, seems like a good day to podcast.
Yeah, right.
But it is Friday.
It is Friday.
Which means I'm probably going to have a lot of editing to do.
No, I'm going to be very disciplined today.
It does not sound like the Mindy Carney I know.
I know. We've got a ton of news and follow-up, it looks like.
We do have some, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
First one is live translated captions in Google Meet are available as a beta that you can sign up for now.
Did we know this was coming?
I do not think we did.
We didn't, okay. Because the live captions in Google Meet have been around for a while.
Correct.
So this is neat that it's translated. So I'm assuming you just go in and choose your native language, right, from like a drop down, and then it just translates for you.
Yeah, because Skype had this feature for a while, I think. There was Skype Translator or something they called it. So it is out there in other formats. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's good. I could see some instances like if your parents don't have English as their native language, and then you could have a conversation back and forward at conferences or something, and have those things translated. But it is a sign-up thing right now because it's still in beta. There's a link we'll put in the show notes where you can fill in a form and say, sure, sign me up.
Nice.
I'd like to try it.
All right. Continuing on with Google Meet.
Yes, so new updates also coming for Meet as well as the beta sign-up one. So they're moving that Meet link for Google Classroom. The one that used to be up there in the header is now going to move kind of into the sidebar navigation there now. And it will have a big button that you can press to either set up the Meet link or to join a Meet link.
Okay.
They've also, if a student joins before the teacher, they end up in a waiting room.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Which is a nice feature, isn't it? But yes, waiting rooms. Who would
have ever thought?
Think of that. That's a good idea, right?
Good job, Google.
I'm glad we're on that one. Students not on the roster must request to join. If you're students outside of your Google Classroom, they can still request to join your meeting. And I think I read somewhere that this was also available for like maybe other adults. If you had other teachers in your district or something, they could request to join too.
Nice, okay.
And co-teachers are going to be meeting hosts by default.
Nice.
Which is good.
Yeah, it makes sense. So
does make sense.
Yeah.
Oh, and one more. Hand raising is coming too. You can raise a virtual hand to attract the attention of your teacher.
All right. I felt like that was coming like a gazillion years ago.
I think that might have been one of the ones that were coming and just hasn't got here yet. But I think it's coming.
All right.
Again. Next one on our list is one that I think some people on our team have been excited by. Are you excited by this one?
No, I don't.
So the ability to create meeting notes in Google Calendar.
Yeah.
I've seen people on Twitter excited about this, people on our team excited about this. I don't know if this is something I would use or not, but if you set up a meeting with people and you want a quick way just to have a quick meeting template thrown together, you can click on a link on the calendar invite and it opens a meeting template doc for you.
Okay.
Now at Grantwood, most of the time, we already have meeting templates for most of the meetings we go to, but maybe if I was going out to a school and I was visiting with some people and I just wanted to have some quick notes taken in some kind of format that made sense, then this could be a good place to do it. Maybe if you're an instructional coach and you're going around meeting with a teacher, you can just click on the calendar invite, meeting notes, bang. Yeah. You've got it up there. It's got action items. It's got notes and space for attendees and the date's already filled in and everything.
Oh, I love it when they take attendance at meetings.
Isn't that the best?
Oh, I'm glad I'm here. Glad
Mindy? Yeah. All right, so another update for Google, and I think this one is a little questionable and maybe a little confusing too, but they think it's more clear. The present button in Google Slides, when you come to present your slide deck,
yes,
is changing, and it's now going to be called the Slideshow button. Yeah. It says, we hope it makes it clearer when you're beginning a slideshow and when you're sharing your screen in Meet.
But isn't Slides a slideshow? It's about presenting it into a full screen.
Yeah.
Why was that confusing before?
I didn't think it was confusing before,
okay.
But I think somebody looked at inside a Google Meet, when you go to share your screen, the button says present.
Yeah.
And the button in Google Slides also says present.
Okay.
But they do different things.
Okay.
One's screen share and one's present a slide deck. I feel like they should just have changed the button in Meet to screen share. Yeah. But
Okay.
It is what it is.
It is.
It's there if you're looking at it and you see it on your screen and you're surprised why it's there, and then it's Google wisdom.
Yeah.
We are not to question why.
Yes, right.
Did you see this update for Zoom?
I'm just clicking on it because I have not seen this.
I missed this. This one went straight past my radar.
Yeah.
But I think this was from like August or something. This one came out. There's a new focus mode inside of Zoom where if the teacher turns it on, the teacher can see all the students, but the students can only see the teacher. They can't see their peers. So it's like they have their cameras turned off.
Yeah.
Their cameras are all on because the teacher can see everybody.
Right.
And the idea is that the students are not distracted by their peers who might be making faces or, holding up signs, or they have pets in the camera or whatever else.
Right. Well, and student privacy then too, right? Like, I know there's a lot of argument about whether or not students should have to have their cameras on or not. And, the argument would be is that, students have the right to be private about where they are, Zooming from. Mm-hmm. But this would allow, teachers to still see students' faces and still having that be private to the rest of their class.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's called Focus Mode, and it's available in Zoom.
I did not know that.
Only available in the Zoom client, so you need to have the app on your desktop somewhere and dig around in the settings, and you should find Focus Mode. Otherwise, I'll put a link on there for how to find it for you too.
Our next team Zoom meeting, I'm going to go in because usually those are my meetings. I'll just go in and be like, you can only see me today. Hi.
Yes, we would love that.
The main attraction is here. Oh, shoot. Okay.
Swiftly moving on. ExpeditionsPro. Yeah, we talked about that recently, didn't we?
We did.
And you and I have played with that a little bit in our team meeting just to try. I thought we'd just give an update for people if you hadn't gone back and looked at it yet, but it is kind of out of beta, I believe. The Android app is available in the Google Play Store.
Okay.
So ExpeditionsPro, this is the company that are looking to pick up from Google Expeditions and replace that functionality.
Yeah.
They have said the Apple iOS app is coming soon, but it's not available yet. And they're going to try and get it onto other VR headsets as well. So interesting.
Yeah.
Everything that is there now is supposed to remain free. So you can do things like guided tours,
right.
You can point things, you can annotate on the screen, you can do all the things that you could do with Google Expeditions. So all that stuff is free. Anything that is released after now, I guess, could be part of a premium plan and would be something you would pay for. But they said they are committed to keeping all the Google Expeditions features free. That's good. If nothing else, that's good.
Yeah. So they don't have, right kind of when, I feel like when I was kind of finishing what I did with Expeditions, it feels like it was probably 2019 before, was probably the last training I did with Expeditions. Yeah. They had the AR stuff within. Yeah. That did not come over though, right?
There's no AR stuff in ExpeditionsPro right now. It's just all VR tours.
Got it.
Yep. And there's no list of tours like, there was that Google spreadsheet that was kicking around for a while where you could search through and find stuff quickly. Yeah. They don't have a list of that, but they said that was because right now they are just getting inundated with content from everyone, all their partners and stuff. He said once that settles down, they'll try and put a list together for people.
Got it. Nice. Okay.
last but not least on our list, I was curious what you thought about this item.
I'm looking at it right now. Okay.
Okay, you can look, and I'll just tee it up for our listeners here.
Sounds good.
There is a company called LearnPlatform.com who put together the top 40 EdTech tools that are being used by students and teachers across the United States.
Okay.
So there's a breakdown of the top 40 tools on here, and I was curious what you thought. And, is there any new ones on here that surprised you, or anything that's missing you didn't see? In fact, there's one that's missing. I'm curious if you spot it or not. But what do you think of this list?
Well, I'm still scrolling. So number one on the list is Google Docs.
Yes.
I think it's interesting then that Google Drive is number 4. Because how do you use one without the other?
I guess.
Or why is Google Drive even one of the,
I mean, you could go to docs.google.com.
.new.
Or doc.new. Yeah.
Yeah, so I do not see Seesaw in here.
That was the one. That was the one I was thinking about.
That's super interesting.
I can't believe Seesaw is not one of the 40 most used EdTech tools. I find that hard to believe.
Me too. But History.com is number 29, which History.com is a fantastic website. I'm just looking through some of these other ones to see. There's nothing that I don't recognize.
I mean, in the top 10, there's a lot of Google stuff. There's Docs, Slides, YouTube, Drive, Forms, Classroom, Sites, and Sheets.
Yeah.
The only things in the top 10 that are not Google things are Zoom and Kahoot.
Yeah, right.
Some brand new entries this year, so they must have done this before.
Yeah.
So Bluekit, which we've talked about as a tech nugget previously, came in at number 36.
Yep.
Pear Deck, which we have talked about a lot, came in at 28.
Yep.
And Jamboard, straight in at number 22.
Yeah. Huh.
I feel like I'm reading the top 40 charts.
I know, Casey Kasem.
I don't know who that is, but I'm sure that's...
Oh my gosh, I forgot. Yes, okay. Yeah. It's pop culture. All right.
So,
yeah, that's super interesting. I guess, when I look at some, I'm surprised that Wikipedia is number 11. Because, I think Wikipedia is a fantastic tool. I do think that I often hear people talk about how they ask students not to use Wikipedia, or maybe that song has changed and they are looking at Wikipedia to then find, I always think it's great for keywords then that I can search further, or to find resources and references within there, because Wikipedia does have some of that stuff.
I appreciate that. If you want to dig deeper into a Wikipedia article, at the bottom it will have all the resources and references for where they got that information, and you can go check it and see what you think of that. But yeah, there's no shockers on here. I to take that back, I do think that seeing Padlet on here maybe surprises me a little bit. Yeah. Because it's, the paywall on Padlet is, but maybe people are still utilizing those free ones they got all those years ago now. Yeah. Padlet is up one place from last year. Yeah. It's a good tool. It's a great tool. It's just unfortunately kind of expensive, so. We have Cool Math Games at number 19. Yeah, did you see that? Everybody loves Cool Math Games. Yeah. For better, for worse. Yeah. So there you go. We'll link to this in the show notes if you want to go and see what the results of this survey. Yeah. Based on 2 million students and over 250,000 educators. I'm not sure exactly where they got their information from, but you can dig in, and it has a link at the bottom that says, want to know more about how we did this report. You can see that there, but lots of familiar things you'll see on there. Up next, served to you piping hot, jamming with Jamboard. We should have actually ended with talking about how Jamboard moved up the list. That was the perfect segue, and it's a missed opportunity now. It's a missed opportunity, but here we are. We can't go back. I mean, if we were proper podcasters, that's what we would have done. But we're not. Nope. Nothing proper about us. Nope. No. Just okay. A little side gig. Yeah, so we want to talk a little bit about Jamboard because it is a really popular tool, and explain a little bit about what it is and why you might use it. So do you want to start the conversation? You want me to start the conversation? Mindy. You want me? Who is Jamboard? Who are you? Okay, so
Jamboard, I mean, how old is it? Jamboard's like 5th birthday now? How long has Jamboard been around, do you think?
That is a great question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Someone should have done some research.
Somebody should have maybe looked that up before we got started today. So Jamboard is what I would describe it kind of as a endless whiteboard that allows you to add Post-its to it. You can add images, you can add GIFs. You cannot add hyperlinks, which I'm assuming someday that's coming, although we will talk about that a little bit. Yeah.
Feature requests?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But it has all of the Google sharing capabilities. Anyone with the link can view. You probably want it to be edit if you are using it with your students. But it's just like an open space, right, where students can kind of add their ideas and their thoughts. I think we first started talking about Jamboard a lot more after Padlet went paid because we used Padlet kind of in this way prior to this. So just that digital bulletin board area. So I don't know. Did I explain it well enough?
I think that covers it, yeah. I mean, it's the kind of tool that if you have used Padlet a lot, this one serves similar features. It doesn't have all the same, not quite. And I'd say the same for things like, whiteboard chat or whiteboard.fi.
Sure.
It's that online collaborative space where students can get on and do some annotation and feedback and collaboration. So.
Right. And it became wildly popular, I would say last year it became wildly popular because people were using it in their Google Meet or Zoom calls to kind of gather thoughts and ideas of students in a digital way. So the nice thing about it, I think, is that it's the way of like kind of taking notes, but having it in a digital place so that it's more accessible to your students. And it's a great way to collaborate when you're not in the room with someone, or to keep those ideas that you've, collaborated with your classroom so that it's accessible at home, like for notes or something like that. So.
Yeah, it's great for like brainstorming topics. Maybe you're starting a new topic and you want to do like a KWL type of thing, have everybody throw up ideas. What do you already know about the water cycle or something?
Sure. Right.
And see what kids have on there too. I think it's grown in flexibility though. I mean, we'll talk about this a little bit, but ever since, you've been able to put like a background image on there, I think that really helped people step up their game in terms of, well, this could be any graphic organizer I want now. Right. All I need is the image for the background, throw it up there, and then we can sort our sticky notes, we can type, we can write, we can do whatever we need on there.
Yeah, which is, kind of taken, I think, Google Slides. I mean, I love Google Slides. I think it's a super powerful tool, and that's what I always loved about Google Slides, is that it had the ability to kind of add a template and then everybody could have their own copy, but yet it was all kind of in this collaborative space. So I could look at other people's notes or whatever. The thing about Google Slides is that I think it's harder to, I'll take that back. I think about Jamboard is that it's a little bit of a quicker setup than Google Slides is, because Jamboard has some of those tools just easily built in with a button, like the Post-it note feature, or just the ability to just click on stuff, as opposed to Google Slides. You might have to click into a menu or pull something down, or, create a box first. So although Google Slides is still more powerful and has the ability to add files into it of sorts, like adding audio and that kind of stuff, I do think that Jamboard is a quicker win to just make it right away in the morning when you're getting ready to teach your kids, as opposed to like, oh, geez, I have to try and get this Google slide deck put together. It's never going to happen, right?
Yeah, Google Slides, I think, it's one of those really flexible tools. It's almost like the one tool to rule them all sometimes.
Yes, right.
That, you can make it do a whole bunch of things, but should you make it do this?
Yeah.
Is it always the best tool for this?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you don't need to learn another tool. You can just use Google Slides to do your, your digital storytelling book, to do your flyers, to do your graphics, to do whatever. But like you said, it's sometimes just quicker. If you want to do like a brainstorming whiteboard type thing, why not just use Jamboard? It's already set up and good to go. You don't have to do too much modification or anything on there too.
And the last thing I would say about maybe Google Slides and Jamboard, if we're kind of tossing them into the ring together, is that the Google Jamboard app is amazing and has some different features in it than you would find online. I don't think the Google Slides app is amazing.
I would agree.
It's not as user-friendly. Jamboard is so user-friendly.
Yeah, this Google Slides app probably has less features. Yes. Quite a lot less features in many ways. So, hey, so we had this conversation just off the air that maybe it might be worth throwing on the record here too. But you were talking about, because we were going back and forward between when you might use Jamboard and Slides.
Oh, yeah.
But you were talking about pencil and paper because there's a lot of times where sometimes, we talk about, it's just quicker to use Jamboard instead of Slides. Yeah. Well, it may just be quicker to get a piece of paper out and write on it with a pencil. Yeah. Pros and cons for that.
So I am, and I feel like a broken record sometimes. I love and much more prefer to write things down on paper. I do think that if you're using Jamboard in a powerful way where it's collecting ideas or thoughts or allowing kids to kind of chew on ideas and share what they're thinking about, that often can get lost in the first of all, in the classroom time, because there's only so much time that you have with your students. And so a lot of times those things get pushed to the end. And so at the end of the class period, maybe we're scurrying to do some of that chewing of the content. And we might need to come back the next day and get back to that part of it. Yeah. If I'm writing that down on a Post-it note or a graphic organizer or whatever, which really is beneficial to me, I might come back the next day and be like, I can't find my Post-it note with all those amazing thoughts. So the one thing about having students then add those thoughts to a digital space, they can still do paper and pencil. I think it's important to kind of archive those thoughts in a digital space so that they're more accessible to students when they come back the next day. You've got control of that Jamboard. You can share it back out with students the next morning or whatever. But also it gives kids the opportunity to take those things and have them, if they have that access at home, to look over and maybe add to things as they need. Or, some kids might really enjoy looking at the thoughts of others. And if you just keep it on your own little piece of paper,
that's true,
and keep it to yourself, it's not as much of a collaborative experience. So that's why I think it's important to have some of those collaborative digital spaces like Jamboard.
Yeah, and, we are digital learning consultants, and most people come to us looking for digital solutions, but, sometimes we might just say, you could use a tool, but it's just as efficient to not, sometimes. Yeah, but I think, there's definitely some pros for using Jamboard, like you said, just for being more organized and being collaborative and seeing what other people are having their thoughts on slides too. All right, so favorite features about Jamboard, Mindy? What are your go-to things?
I like I like the ability to have, like you had mentioned, a background image on it. I don't think that that's unique to Jamboard, but I do think that it is a nice feature that Jamboard has. And stickies are so easy. Yeah. Stickies are so easy. And it's like a limitless amount of stickies. So if you were to try and do it in Google Slides, you'd have to make a sticky every single time. The limitless amount of stickies is fantastic.
Unlimited Post-it notes. Yeah. That's what every teacher wants, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, and we talked about the mobile app having some fun features too. That auto draw stuff that they have on the iPad, and I swear it must be on Android as well because it's a Google thing. Yeah. But where you can draw a shape with your finger and it automatically snaps to a regular shape. Handwritten text turns into typed text. Right. And the drawing tools, well, people have mixed success with this, don't they? Where you try and draw a cat and it will hopefully suggest a cat for you.
So that is, I think, an interesting thing to think about. We both now have said, the app itself is pretty powerful and it has even more features than the online version, which, for some schools is great. For some schools, it's not going to make any difference. The one thing that I would point out, unless this has changed, is that within the app, though, you don't have the ability to anyone with the link can view or edit. you have to sign in to use the Google Jamboard app, which runs into problems with most of our users who are using iPads these days.
Yeah.
Or elementary students who maybe aren't logging into their Google account.
Or they're using shared iPads.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And maybe that's changed. I don't know. I don't think it has, but I do think that that's one of the hiccups about the app that I wish would go away. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I think it might be a restriction just based on like the platform, because it is a web link, and how do you display a web link in an app? You'd have to have some pop-up browser or something, and then you don't get all the features. So something I found today, though, as we were getting ready for the podcast.
Okay.
And I should maybe have saved this for a tech nugget, because I think this is just so good, but it's probably just because I don't use the Jamboard app version very much. Yeah. But that's the ability to bring in content from Google Drive, which you can do on the app, but you can't do on the web. You can bring in a doc, a Google slide deck, or a PDF into your Jamboard, and you can scroll through it like you would on a browser, I guess. But the best thing is you can actually drag out pages from your PDF or slides from your slide deck and put them onto the page and then resize them so that they're bigger and much more legible. And I think that's really interesting idea. Like if you wanted to have on there, like, I don't know, you want to talk about a study guide or something for students and put that on there, you can just pull that over into your Jamboard and enlarge it and have it right there. You can't do that on the web. Yeah. But if you do it on a mobile device, it will sync to the web version so that your kids, if they're not using iPads or whatever, they don't have to have that ability, but you as the teacher can bring that over if you want to.
Yeah, that was really neat. When you were playing with it, we're like, oh my gosh, we had no idea this was even a thing. So
yeah, it was like a 30-page PDF I'm scrolling through and I'm like, wow.
That's awesome. So one of the things that I think we would both like to point out is that because Jamboard has become wildly popular, it's also become much easier to come up with these Jamboard templates to kind of help get you started. So you've done a great job of really curating some links here for Jamboard templates. Some of these templates too, something that we often share with teachers is the Project Zero thinking routines, that these templates are really attached to an instructional strategy. There is, of course, with Jamboard, the ability to just have brainstorming or a KWL or something like that, which is actually a thinking routine. But using some of these ideas, you could really make it more about the instruction as opposed to just a brainstorming space. So lots of different resources here that we will share in the show notes so that you can check them out and go shopping, if you will, for some free Jamboard templates.
Yeah, those Project Zero Thinking Routine ones are from EvolveEdtech.com.
Okay.
They've got like 3 different collections, but only one of them is modeled off that Project Zero ones.
Yeah, right.
Other places you could look, I've been finding them in Canva now, and they're not really like Jamboard templates. I think if you search for Jamboard, you might find them, but if you just search for whiteboard templates, you'll find a bunch in there, and you just save it as an image and upload it as a background image on there. I did see a friend of the show, Eric Kurtz, has this great blog post on creating Jamboard Math Activities using Equatio.
Okay.
So Equatio is that tool that is done by the same people that do Read and Write. I'm trying to think of their company name.
Text Help?
Text Help is the correct answer. Well done. Thank you. So he's got a little 12-minute video of how to create some math activities for students using the Equatio app. Now, Equatio is a paid app for students, but it is 100% free for teachers. Okay. So if you get the teacher version, you can come in here and create some math problems using the Equatio app. So Jamboard doesn't have like an equation editor or anything like that. Equatio does. It has like, fraction tools. It has graphs. It has shapes. It has, angles and protractors and all kinds of other stuff that you can use. Anything you might need for math, basically. And he combines it quite nicely. He's got like one where he's got like some clock faces up, and then the sticky notes above it are like drag the sticky note to the right clock face and things. So it's kind of a a traditional type of idea you might do, but putting it into a Jamboard format. So if you're thinking of making some of that stuff digital, you should take a look at that one.
Yeah, okay. Well, the other one that you have on here is Jake Miller creating background templates. So he's using Google Slides as the way to create the template. What I would say about this is that in Google Slides, like to me, I think, okay, well, why would you then take it out of there and put it into Jamboard? The nice thing about creating it in Google Slides is that then you can take a screenshot of it and it becomes like this immovable object in the background of a Jamboard. So you can kind of smash those two things together and make something a little bit better in Jamboard.
Yeah, and you don't even have to take a screenshot. You can just file save it as a JPEG or something. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Like you said, he puts a lot of different elements in there. If you left that in Slides, they become draggable and stuff because you can't really lock stuff in Slides, I guess.
Yeah, you can, can't you?
I mean, you could save your slide as a background image and then upload it, that
it's just
way.
It's just a lot of steps, right?
It would be more steps.
Yeah.
So if you want some hints, Jake's got those, including you want to make sure you have the right dimensions for your slide. So he resizes the slide deck to make it the right size for a Jamboard and stuff. That's all in there too. And then I stole your tech nugget, Mindy, as well, didn't I?
Well, kind of ish. I mean, let's be serious. My tech nuggets always happen about 10 minutes before the show starts. And I found this and you're like, well, yeah, that's in the notes. I was like, oh, no. Never mind. I keep searching.
Yeah, I found a tweet online from Alexandra House.
Okay.
And she was demonstrating how to add a GIF timer to a Jamboard.
Yep.
Now, when she did this, I mean, this tweet's from December last year. You could go into insert image and search the web for GIF timers. They don't seem to show up anymore, but if you just Google a 2-minute GIF timer, you'll find them on different websites and then you can upload them to your Jamboard slide.
Right. It can't be like a YouTube video timer
Correct.
We're so used to using. It has
slides.
to be a GIF to work in Jamboard.
Yes, and as soon as you upload it, it will start playing automatically. It starts ticking down. Now, if it's on another slide or whatever that you've not got to yet, frame, yes, thank you. If it's on another frame that you've not got to yet, then it doesn't start until you go to that frame. But if you just want to, I don't know, give kids 5 minutes to brainstorm some ideas, you can upload that GIF timer, throw it on there, and they have got a visual impression of how long that's going to be.
Yeah, all right.
Last Jamboard tip.
Okay.
You can use the copy URL trick to make multiple copies of a Jamboard if you need to. So not quite a template, but if you wanted to share a Jamboard that you set up with, I don't know, another teacher in your building or something, then you can change the end of the URL to be /copy. And when they click on it, it's going to force them to make a copy of your Jamboard.
Oh, so this makes me wonder, and I think the answer is probably yes, but I'm going to ask you to see if you know. So in Google Classroom, if you post it as an assignment, does it automatically make a new copy for each student?
I have not done a Jamboard assignment.
Yeah. I wonder if that's true. I bet that makes sense.
I feel like it would.
Yeah, me too. Someone try and let us know.
People have already tried this,
I'm sure they're like, duh, geez.
It's because we don't live...
How did you get this job, lady?
Yeah, we don't live in Google Classroom very much anymore, so yeah. People know how to use it.
I guess, yeah.
Okay. So there you go. Anything else we should know about Jamboard? We covered all the bases.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Send us your favorite Jamboard tips. We'll put them in use and follow up for our next
that'd be great.
episode.
That'd be fun. Okay. All right. My favorite part of the show is up next. It's Tech Nuggets.
Is this still your favorite part of the show, Mindy?
I just feel like it's supposed to be what I say.
Is that part of your vocabulary now?
Yeah, probably. It's like, it's just what you say.
So take it away. Give us a tech nugget.
All right. So this one I found kind of by accident, and it's in the Google world, so take that with a grain of salt. But so the other day, I was putting a link into a Google Doc that was one of the URL hacks. So you just mentioned taking off the edit part of a Jamboard URL and putting copy instead. And I had done that in a Google Doc because I wanted that I didn't know how they would need to use that link. So I pasted the whole thing as opposed to like a hyperlink where I would have put the title of it, whatever, and then linked that text.
Yeah.
So I put the long text in just as a quick copy and paste, and this little prompt popped up asking if I wanted to add it like as a button.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, yeah, of course I do.
Why not?
Why wouldn't I? And so it made my, I think it takes the title of that doc and makes it a button that you can click on. I don't know, with a little doc icon. And yeah, it was kind of neat. It looked, I don't know, it was very streamlined. It looked pretty, I guess. So yeah.
I just copied our doc into the doc, and it said tab to replace with.
It did, because I tried it before and I couldn't get it to do it. And so I'm like, it must just be URL hacks.
It's not.
I wonder then if it has to do with the permissions too, because when I first tried to do it, it was like, it was just strictly shared with like 3 people. And so I'm wondering if it has something to do with the permissions then.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, play with it a little bit, right? Like you should definitely check it out. And it just, if anything, it just looks nice. It's just, it kind of does a call out to, some links that you have within your doc. So.
Just a nice kind of inline one too, so you can be writing part of a sentence and paste a link in for a Google document, and it says tab to replace with, and you hit tab and it puts it there, and then you just keep typing after it. Yeah. And it saves you like highlighting text and adding a link and pasting the link and then all that stuff.
All that stuff.
Paste a link and tab it and go.
All right.
I like it.
Okay.
All right, we mentioned ExpeditionsPro back at the beginning of the show.
We did.
Going to round it up a little bit with a similar option in some ways. I came across this website called 360 Schools. Mm-hmm. Now, we talked about things being in beta before. Mm-hmm. This one is in alpha. So
I don't know what that means. What does that mean if it's in alpha?
Alpha comes before beta. So it's maybe a little rough around the edges.
All right.
But it lets you explore some 360 images in your browser. Mm-hmm. And these can be like click and drag type of things, or you can switch over to like a headset view and see it that way too. So different ways to view them. They've got these 360 tours from all over the world that you can look at, kind of similar to like Google Expeditions. They're not sectioned out into like parts where you would click, okay, so here is the Champs-Elysees, here is the Eiffel Tower, here is the, Notre Dame, or whatever, all the different places and scenes. One scene is the whole thing. And you can share them very easily with students. Yeah. Because it integrates with Google Classroom, so you can put it straight into Google Classroom and they can click on the link there. They have a QR code, so if you do have a Google Expeditions set or something in your classroom, you can just use a QR code scanner to scan the QR code, and that will take them straight to the 360 experience. And you can also copy the link to it as well too.
Nice.
They are also working on a kind of a tour builder type of deal too, where you can create your own tours, but I think that's still in the works. And anything that you find on their site can also be embedded in a website too. You can embed code. Everything is free right now. 360 Schools is how we always completely say right now. Free. Yeah, I mean it's an alpha, right? So sign up and access hundreds of thousands of incredible 360 panoramas available on any device. You can embed them in class blogs, LMS, class feeds, and other websites.
Well, all right then.
Guided tours are on their roadmap for things to come in the future. So I think maybe they are also trying to capitalize on the demise of Google Expeditions.
Well,
They're trying to get ones where you can have them offline as well, which I think would be interesting. So also collaboration features where students can team up with other students from around the world to create guided tours together.
Nice.
So it's schools.360cities.net.
Good one.
Maybe.
We'll see if it ever gets out of alpha.
Keep an eye on that one.
Okay, so I have a review Seesaw Tech Nugget, and then one that I think is fairly new, possibly. One of them is the Seesaw visual instructions. So if you are a Seesaw user, you may have noticed in the activity library that teachers that have already created activities might have those visual instructions that have the icons built in from Seesaw. And I had somebody ask me the other day, how do you get those in there? And so I thought, okay, well, maybe this is a tech nugget that needs to be reviewed. There is a doc that comes from Seesaw that gives you what I would call, and I'm using air quotes, code for you to put in as those Seesaw icons. And it is a colon and then the keyword that they have on their doc that's assigned to that visual instruction, and then another colon. And so you put that into your instructions where you'd like a visual, and once you save in that activity, when it pops into the actual activity view, like what you would see when you're looking at activities in the activity library, that's when those visual icons will pop up. So they have added a ton of Seesaw icons since they first started this, which was, quite a few years ago, but there are just a ton of Seesaw icons that you can use. So this doc is really nice because it's like a key. It has all of the visual icons that you could possibly use, and then right next to it is the text that you would use. A tip I would tell you is that I think it's a good idea to put like 2 spaces before and 2 spaces after that visual icon so that there's a little bit of a space also within those instructions.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, because you said something that I've also had teachers ask about, and it's when you're in the editing mode for an activity,
right?
And you put colon, photo, colon, and they're like, the camera didn't show up.
Yeah, right.
You've got to save it and publish it, or at least save it anyway.
I think it's save. I think
you've got to come out the edit mode for
Yeah.
it to appear, because it doesn't just pop up magically then.
Right.
It's like if you were, I don't know, doing things in the HTML editor or something like that, in Canvas or something like that. You have to switch back to the visual editor to see all that. So yes, good one to have, and always good to be reminded. And even if you knew those were there, just to see what all the latest ones are, you've got a handy little doc here.
Yeah. So the last one that I would mention that I think is fairly new, but is not brand spanking new, but you may not have noticed it on your own, is that also in those activities, you might be seeing people creating kind of these drag and sort types of activities. I tend to play in Seesaw on my computer, so it was really nice. I could just drag photos from my desktop right onto that canvas, and they would become, now that you have this ability to kind of photo collage things, those can be draggable pictures. What you may be noticing is that your students are resizing those pictures to make them enormous or super, super tiny, which you might find somewhat annoying, or maybe not. I don't know. So something you can do within that template is within that photo, click on those 3 little dots, and then you can lock things. You can either lock it in place so that it doesn't move at all, which might have a purpose depending on your activity. The other thing you can do is lock the size so that the students cannot resize that and keeps it the size that you've chosen for when you've created that activity template.
This takes me back to when I was creating my smart notebooks and I was locking objects in place so the students wouldn't drag those around and things like that.
Right.
So, okay, I can see why people would want that.
Yeah.
And it's a fairly new update, but it's
fairly new, but not
super obvious.
Spanking new, but it might be something that you haven't seen before. Especially if you haven't made those drag and drop picture activities before, it might not be anything that you've ever seen. So there it is.
All right, so my second tech nugget is something that I came across in doing some research for a teacher that said, hey, can you come and help me with some stop motion? I've never done that before. And I was like, absolutely.
Sure.
And I was like, so what devices do you have? She goes, well, we have iPads, but we also have Chromebooks. And the students have Chromebooks. So if the students were able to do it on a Chromebook, that'd be great. And I was like, well, the iPad, I've got that sorted. Chromebooks, I know there's an extension out there that I've used in the past. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I threw it out on Twitter and I said, hey, is this still the best thing to do? stop motion on a Chromebook.
Yeah.
And I got a nice tweet back from Tim Blizzard, who is from Bradford in the UK.
Oh.
And he said, hey, you should check out Cloud Stop Motion. And I did check out Cloud Stop Motion.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be my go-to tool now for Chromebooks.
Nice.
It's a nice online stop motion editor.
Okay.
It's got a multi-track editor, so you can take your pictures and have those all on one track. And on different tracks, they've got audio for unlimited tracks. You can have sound effects, you can have music, you can have titles, you can have credits, you can have speech bubbles. And all of this is like completely free as far as I can see right now.
For now.
So you get, on a free account, you get 2 gigabytes of storage as standard, unlimited student accounts, unlimited student groups and classes. You can export it out as an MP4 movie. It all saves in the cloud and everything. If you want to set up like an organization account, you can also do that too. But I think this for free is a really robust and decent tool that's got a lot of great features that you might come to expect. It's not just like snap a picture and turn it into, a stop motion.
Yeah.
It's like a video editor where you can, edit and cut and add music and titles and really create a compelling little story.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if you mentioned this because I was also looking at it for the first time. So it says that you can also use it on the iPad.
Yeah, it does seem to work on smartphones, laptop, desktop, Chromebooks, and tablets. So if you are just looking to try something different, you like the features that they have.
And you have multiple types of devices in your classroom, and you're like...
Bring your own device.
Yeah, right.
Everybody's doing stop motion.
Yeah, right.
Give it a go.
Yeah. Well, all right.
So I think that's everything that we have for this
episode 97.
For episode 97, yes. On the final countdown now. Episode 100 better be amazing.
Oh my gosh, we better start.
Otherwise, we'll know who to blame.
Yes, me.
Well,
sorry.
Okay. So, until next time.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it hit the spot.